The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Ayo, guns up.
Guns up, giddy up. I can't hear you.
Why can't you hear me, my friend?
Oh, I can't. Oh, it's getting better.
Oh,
now I hear you. Now I hear you.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Night Shift, baby.
Welcome.
What are you drinking there? What are you chugging down?
On the StreamYard, it was still a black screen, so I didn't know you could see that. I was trying to get one last in.
What are you talking
the little
about?
North Carolina foothills.
How is it a
IPA.
black screen? It's a black screen nowhere.
What's on my end?
What's going on over there? We've been literally sitting here getting the tech ready for an hour. How is there? I'm here for the death, says TJ Surreal. That's right. Welcome to the Night Shift. We'll be talking all things. Guys, we are pulling back the curtain tonight on homicide scenes. If you're a fan of true crime, if you're a fan of things like The First 48, if you view the best cops as murder cops, well, we were neither of those. So, but we're going to talk about our experiences, a little bit of our experiences, and we will have a phone number displayed in a little bit to call in if you are a cop or first responder that has been on an interesting, gruesome, whatever murder scene. And then we're going to take your guys' questions. If you have questions about murder scenes, you want to type them in the comments. Obviously, the super chats are noticeable. We appreciate those. And if you want to call in and ask questions, if we open it up that way, we'll see where the night goes. We will see where it goes. But I've got what Peter Watkins says he got banned from another live stream for super chatting. Let's go, Brandon. You will not get banned. Look at our shirts. Our shirts literally say, let's go, Brandon. Both of us are wearing the same thing. Did we plan this?
No. So today, I was actually wearing my double tap shirt or tapped squared. And then I took my kids after we went to the skate park today. I took them for homeschool purposes. I took them to the Special Operations Airborne Museum in Fayetteville because that's where we were homeschooling today. And we walked in and they were like, oh, you guys all have to have masks. And I was like, well, we have masks, but my kids did not. And they were like, oh, all the kids have to have masks too. And I was like, even my 3-year-old? And she was like, yeah. So we had to leave. We had to go to Walgreens, buy masks, come back. And then I changed into the Let's Go Brandon shirt before I went back in because I was like, this is me going, Brandon.
Flash your medals.
Wear a mask.
Chandra wants to know, are these Relentless Defender shirts? No, I have had the Relentless Let's Go Brandon as well. These are the ones that are available on failuretostop.com. One day maybe we'll be in a cooperative relationship with them for printing our stuff. Not yet. What are you drinking? You never told me. You said you were trying to hide it.
Oh, it was.
Are you an alcoholic? You're trying to hide your drinking?
Yep. No, I'm drinking Foothills Hopium IPA. It's a North Carolina local brewery.
Sounds delicious.
Oh, you're drinking bourbon tonight, huh?
Oh, of course. Yeah, this is the go-to. The Bullet is the standard. It's the standard, right? Like it's just the go-to cheap bourbon. You know, if you're not spending a lot of money on just the kind that you sip. And I did get a brand new decanter that this couple that I married recently. They got me.
You married a couple?
Yeah, down in Tennessee.
That's kinky, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, you're into that kind of thing.
I wasn't involved in the wedding night, so I don't know if it was as kinky as.
Oh, you married them as like an official. You didn't get married to a couple.
Oh, I didn't marry them in the biblical sense. No. and they got me a decanter as a thank you gift with some nice crystal. It's like all hand carved. I don't know. Do you carve crystal? I don't know. It's nice, right? It's a nice set decanter and glasses. So I'm gonna start my like high end bourbon collection soon. Like that's gonna start building so that when guys
so
like
you can
you
be
come
like
to my
every
house,
other dude in the United States, like every single dude.
oh,
in the United
I
States has a
forget
bourbon
you
collection.
are a rum snob. It's not like whatever. Hey, listen, you know what, asshole? If you sent me rum, I would drink it. I did actually have some good drinks at your distillery when I was there.
I'm the worst.
But yeah, I have to have your rum in order to drink your rum.
Well, if I can find a flight tomorrow, I'll
So until
fly
then,
with
I'm gonna keep growing my beard, and I'm gonna wear skinny jeans. I'm gonna drink bourbon, and I'm gonna be like every other white dude in America.
All right. So speaking of Bullet, I was at STK in Nashville a couple weeks ago, which is like some bougie steak restaurant. And the waiter came over and was like, "Do you guys want to start with any drinks?" I was like, "Absolutely. I'll have a Manhattan. Please make sure there's rye in that Manhattan." And he was like, "Oh, what would you like?" I was like, "Just your house rye. It's probably going to be Bullet, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's what
Right.
everybody's house rye is."
Yeah, it's the standard. Yeah, it's
So
the
he
same.
was like,
It's the
"Oh,
go-to.
okay, I'll have to check on that." And I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm about to spend $300 on my dinner, like I want a sommelier at my table too, by the way. And I want at least the waiter to know what kind of house rye you have. But he didn't know any of that. I get to the end of the night. My bill was like $300. I was pissed. I hate spending that much money on dinner. And he gave me a Manhattan, which was $13 with a $22 upcharge for the Bullet rye.
Upcharge.
Yeah. That
What
son of
the
a
heck?
bitch. Yeah.
That is
Well,
insane. That's insane.
It's not a real restaurant. STK sucks. That is all glitz and glamour, and your meal's $300 because of the location,
I was at
not
some
because
place,
of the service or the food.
I was at some place up here, obviously because I live here, but they were doing shots of some tequila, and I can't remember what the brand was. It was $22 a shot.
Oh, that's nothing.
Dude, that's something. That is something.
No, Pappy Van Winkle shots are like $50 to $80.
Yeah, actually, I know there's a place also by me. Maybe I'll take you there whenever you come into town. But they have shots of Pappy too. But it was like $90 an ounce there for a shot or whatever.
What
Too
I like to do
expensive.
is
Pappy's overrated. That you heard it first here. Nah, I mean that's my opinion. But
yeah, whenever when I go out and somebody's trying to be bougie and they're trying to like impress me or whatever, which like you can give me anything and I'm always impressed. But
someone just said Blanton's is an easy 30+. My friend Dylan Palmer in the chat. Blanton's is more like around here, $200 some a bottle right now because it's not easy to get.
Gotcha.
So anyway, let's actually get into the topic. Flexing your alcoholism, yeah. Homicide. So let me ask you this, Tansy. When you became a cop, when you had your first like homicide scene that you responded to or dealt with or were around, what was different, the same as you had expected, different than you would have expected? What did you learn like when you were first exposed to a homicide, I guess, and the whole scene and the process of the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think that you're a bit busier than I thought. Like everybody's got jobs that they have to do and you have to do them quickly. I wasn't expecting that. Like you see in the movies where they walk up, they're like, "Yep, yeah, he's dead." They'll poke a couple things. They do like some diagnosis.
Reach into the pocket, grab out a wallet.
Yeah, they like try to see who he is and everything.
Tell a uniform, get the unis to go canvass the area.
Yeah, yeah.
See what we can stir up.
Pull out crime scene tape and like, back out of the crime scene one step behind the other, like kind of panicking, like, did I just fuck this up by walking in on it? And, it's like when you find a homicide scene, you're not like, oh, it's a homicide scene. And then you start working, like you walk in, you're like, oh shit, damn it, this is a homicide scene. And now you're like trying to like backtrack out like super slow. You get all the crime scene tape put up and they got to bring in all the cameras and the CCBIs and the whole 9 yards and the canvassing. And then you're just working, you're busy for hours. But I just didn't realize how much was involved in a homicide scene on every level, like street and detective. I mean, it's a lot of work. And that first 48 is real. Like everybody is balls to the walls for 48 hours until you solve the murder.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, I love First 48 only because I find it to be the most realistic of cop shows. I love that show. As far as investigations go, I always get a kick out of watching First 48. It'd be cool to have one of them detectives on there that's kind of a recurring person. Mobile, Alabama. Speaking of on Friday's regular show, we had that one dude from TikTok, the Wolf Pack of Mobile. He calls into action. There's some consistent characters on First 48 from Mobile for sure. I remember one scene that the stuff that stood out to me was like, I couldn't believe that I was actually like putting out these little yellow cards, right? The little tent cards for casings.
Yep.
And I'm like, I just remember feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm really doing this. This is some Hollywood shit happening here, right? Like I felt like I didn't feel cool. I felt weird. I'm like, this is so weird. Like you've seen on the news or, you know, movie scenes or whatever, the yellow cards numbering the casings. And then I was like, these bastards are not easy to find. Like in a yard at 1 a.m. or whatever, like you're trying to like go with the flashlight in somebody's grass, like finding casings. It's crazy. So I remember being like, wow, this is nuts. But living it in real life. What was maybe different that you I mean, obviously like it does, you don't have, it's not like the movies where the detectives, very few departments have dedicated murder cops, like dedicated homicide division.
We have like a really good homicide division, and I think it's the most prestigious division in the Raleigh Police Department. Like
it's usually where everybody that feels like at the top of the detective heap is, right? Like
I mean that's the top of your game is your homicide guys. They're always really cool, and girls. But they were always the best. But so we have City County Bureau of Investigation that comes in and does a lot of the stuff for us. Mm-hmm. They do all the pictures and they do all the numbering. But I was on one homicide scene as a young rookie, and I didn't have a backpack yet with all the goodies and the treats and the yellow cards and all the things. And we were on a homicide scene. They're like, hey, start marking casings right now. They're like, find all those casings and mark all of them right now before they get blown about or stepped on or whatever. And I was like, what do I mark them with? They're like, anything that's noticeable. So I went back to the car and grabbed my pack of gum that was empty. And I grabbed all the tinfoil, the tinfoil gum wrappers. And I like folded them and like smoothed them out and was just like laying them on the ground. And somebody was like, why the fuck are all these gum wrappers out here? And I was like, oh, those were the casings were. They were like, what is wrong with you?
Where do you, how much time do you have?
Creative. Instead of ripping paper out of my notebook, let them blow around in the winds. But
as far as stories go, I have stories, as far as homicides that range from what I would consider lighthearted, if that's such a thing, up to pretty freaking depressing. And I want to kind of pull the curtain back on everything so that somebody sees like, hey, like our perspective. You wonder where cops get dark humor from or whether first responders get dark humor from. It's like, I mean, you have to communicate with each other, and sometimes like it's just part of the coping mechanism can be humor, talking about the stories. So just a heads up, if you're listening to this, like if you're going to be easily offended, we don't mean any disrespect to victims in murders, but we're kind of like I said, pulling back the curtain and just talking about it in a very real, plain, matter-of-fact kind of way to give you insight and maybe answer some of your questions. Some of the gross stuff, right? Somebody asked in the comments, how long until a body evacuates its bowels? I don't know the actual time frame on that. I do know that a lot of people, and this is not necessarily homicide related, just dead people related. Dead people definitely can evacuate their bowels.
Especially if it's hot. And they die in a garage with the door closed.
And then you find them a
swell
week
up.
later.
They pop.
Yeah. So,
baby.
I mean, I don't know the actual time. I do know that, like with rigor mortis, there's a period where the body rigor will set in, but rigor is not permanent. It comes and then it goes, and then the body goes limp again. So there's a period, like, I think coming between a few hours up to 24 hours where like rigor can be present, and then it begins to change and go back to pliable again. And I've felt both. Touching bodies and dealing with bodies that have rigor is very, very weird. 10 out of 10 would not recommend if you can avoid it. But
Yeah, I had a
is
dude
what it
that
is.
had shot himself in the head, and then the rigor, he kept his finger on the trigger, and so he had to like move around and pry his finger off of the trigger, but rigor had set in, and so it was like super stiff. And I just remember being like, "God, this is really awkward." It's a little bit, I don't know, it's not crazy strong, but
yeah.
you're definitely manipulating it.
Ben
But as far as
Marsh-
like
Ben Marsh
bodies
wants to know, how many
popping,
times have you found pets chowing down on their owners?
I've never found that. I never had that one.
I have definitely,
had.
I definitely had a call for mail piling up at a house, and I could literally see when, I peeked in the front window, I could see the guy was face down in the kitchen, and his cat was eating the back of his head off. Yeah. So that was
Why
definitely
you don't own
happening.
cats? Dogs would never do that.
I don't know that dogs would never do that, but so yes, I have seen it. Yeah, gross. Yeah,
All right, so before we get started, I just saw somebody also in the comments mention a grocery store. I wanted to read this story to you, Mike. It's one of my favorite cop stories of all times. It's not necessarily a homicide, but it is a gruesome death, and this happened in Lancaster, California. So a dead body was found inside of a stone pillar outside a California grocery store on Saturday afternoon. Could be the remains of a man who was fleeing from authorities earlier in the week, Los Angeles County Sheriff Department lieutenant stated. So I've done a lot of research into this when it happened. So here's the story. A man is fleeing the police in a truck. He crashes the truck outside of an adjacent grocery store. He runs across the street to the other grocery store, which I forgot the name of the grocery store at this point. It was something like, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. He runs into the grocery store, runs up through the manager's office, which is like up the stairs, where they like look down at the rest of the grocery store to make sure nobody's stealing.
yeah.
He goes through there, past all of them, and up onto the roof, and then disappears. They had helicopters. They had the SWAT team. They treated it as like a barricaded subject.
What?
They did all the searching. They never found the guy.
What?
Well,
Where'd
what
he go?
happened was, while he was up there, he found a little square that he pulled open, and it dropped down into the front pillar of the grocery store.
Okay.
So he dropped down in there to hide in the pillar. And of course, it was a long way down. It was dark. So when the cops got up there, they couldn't find him. They had no idea where he is. And so he could never get out. And he just rotted. And they didn't find him until blood and stench started oozing out of the pillar.
Oh yeah.
How dope is that?
Oh yeah.
That's one of my faves. Just sitting down there being like, I got away. Oh, fuck.
Yikes. Do you think he was alive for a while before he died in there?
Yeah. I'm sure you're alive for like at least 2 days. I mean, how hot does it get in Lancaster, LA?
Oh my gosh.
Just cooking to
well,
death.
I don't
in
know.
there.
Somebody's messaging me about a story and trying to convince him to call, but they're not going to.
I don't know. That's one of my favorites.
I'm saying to email these to me because some of them are pretty good.
Let's see,
So
EM
one of
says,
the first homicides that I was on was I was driving just on patrol late at night, and somebody flags me down on the side of the road and is like, "Hey, there's like a homeless dude or something over around the corner, and he's like passed out And I tried kicking him, tried getting his attention to get him out of the way, but he seems like he needs help. I'm like, oh boy, okay. So flip the car around, head over to where she's describing, and sure enough, I see a guy sort of like in a lump on the sidewalk, and I'm like, oh, okay, get out of the car. Like, hey man, and of course I'm just going through the motions thinking like this guy's just hammered and passed out on the sidewalk or whatever. I'm like, hey man, come on. And I'm kicking him. I'm like, dude, let's go. Like, I don't have time to play with your nonsense. And at this time, I'm calling somebody. I'm like, hey, I'm going to have to like get this guy up, blah, blah, blah. And so I roll him over and I'm like, oh shit. And so there's like blood on the front of his shirt. And I'm like, oh man, I lift up whatever that outer layer was, and there's a bullet hole in his back. I'm like, oh, great. Yeah. So was he shot here and died? There's no blood anywhere else, or was he already shot and then like just dumped there? I don't know. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So first of all, I was just like kicking a dead dude and talking to him for like 5 minutes into nowhere. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then of course now because you just wanted to do the right thing and help somebody out, now you're dealing with a dead body. Fortunately, it wasn't something like, it was like not in my area, so I didn't have to like deal with it. Other people did, but
yeah, no good deed goes unpunished. It's probably a story I probably should not tell on this podcast, but who cares? It's night shift, right? It's the trust tree. But we had a suspicious... The trust tree.
What's a trust tree?
The tree of trust, where we're all...
I thought it was a circle.
Family in here. We're all...
I thought it was a circle of trust.
And but I was eating lunch one night. It was midnight, and we got a call. And they said that there's a suspicious white person on a particular street in Raleigh.
Impossible.
There's not any white people. So, like, it's bad. Like when a whole community is nothing but African Americans, and they're like, "Yo, there's a suspicious white dude over here. Come get him." So I went over there. I was like, dude, I'll take that call any day. Like, suspicious white guy? Yeah, I'll put that on my racial profiling forms for the FBI. I need one. I haven't had a white dude in my presence in a hot minute. So I went over there, and there's this white kid drunk sitting on the steps of this apartment. And I'm like, yo, you all right? And he like looks up, and he was like, am I being detained? And I was like, no, I just coming to check on you, man. There's a lot of people here that want to know what you're doing here. And frankly, do you have a wallet on you or anything? And he was like, I'm not giving you consent to see my wallet. And I was like, no, I don't give a shit about seeing your wallet. Like, I just want to know if you still have it, or if you've already been robbed, or if you're waiting to get robbed. I'm just trying to figure out what our timeline is here. He was too drunk to understand. And I was like, man, what are you doing here? And he was like, man, I'm walking home. I was like, where do you live? And he was like, Holly Springs. That's super far away. I was like, bro, you're not even heading the right direction. So I was like, let me take you back to downtown, and then I'm going to like put you in a nice lit area. And when you sober up, you can call somebody to come get you. So he's like, all right. So he gets up and he stumbles over to the cop car. I was like, hey, look, it's company policy. I got to pat you down before I put you in. So I take his wallet and put him in the car, and I look at his wallet. I run his name. He had 2 pending charges. He was, one was a pending hit and run, and the other was a pending drinking while intoxicated underage. So I'm guessing he got drunk at like 20 years old and then hit somebody and then left the scene. So I'm driving him, and he's whining and crying about his girlfriend. They're breaking up, and it's terrible. And I'm just like, well, hey man, maybe it's time for you to stop drinking. Obviously, there's a lot of issues that are arising because of your drinking. But I tell you what, man, we're pulling up right now. Look, the Raleigh, the park, the city park is right there. If you're in there right now, it's closed. So you're going to go to jail for trespassing. You can't go in the park. It's too late. I was like, if you go to downtown Raleigh, they're probably going to get you for drunken in public too, because you can barely walk. But this is the city gas pump. There's cameras everywhere. Just sit on that bench. Here's your cell phone. It's fully charged. I've already looked at it. Whenever you're ready, call somebody and they'll come get you. You just tell them you're at the City of Raleigh gas pumps. Can't miss it. So the detective pulls up. He's fueling up his car, and I go, hey, detective, check this out. And I tell him the whole story about suspicious white dude, where he was at. And the first thing he was like, oh, shit, did he have his wallet and everything on him? And I was like, dude, that's the first thing I asked. Can't believe nobody robbed him. And so I said, I'm just going to leave him here. And he's like, yeah, I would. That or put him in the drunk tank. And I was like, yeah, it's about to get busy. I mean, it's like, I'm not doing that. And I've never done it before. And I know it's a big headache. So I leave him, and I go home for the weekend. and I get a call on Sunday. This was like Friday. This was like Saturday morning. It's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on Saturday. And so I get a call on Sunday, and they're like, "Hey man, what did you do with homeboy the suspicious white guy?" And I was like, "Oh, I dropped him off at the city gas pumps." And they're like, "Hey man, if we send you an email and a picture, can you tell if this was the dude?" And I was like, "Sure." So they sent me an email, and I'm like, yeah, that's him. They're like, "Oh, okay." His parents are trying to figure out where he's at. We'll let him know that you dropped him off. And I was like, "Sure, dope." So then on Tuesday, I get another call from a detective, and they're like, "Hey man, we see that you're tied to this case with so-and-so." And I was like, yeah. That's the guy. I picked him up. I told him the story. And they're like, where did you take him? And I was like, the city gas pumps. And he's like, do you have any witnesses or anything? And I said, yeah, I mean, there's cameras all over the pumps. And there was a detective there, and I gave the detective's name, and they're like, "Oh, well, you need to come in and do a report." And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "Because we found him dead on Hammond Road." So the dude had got up and tried to walk home, got smoked by a semi truck. And they found him on the other side of the guardrail, a cleanup crew. Found him dead.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Dude, that happened to me one time where I had gone back to a house, a trailer, multiple times. The first is like a lady reporting there's a group of juveniles or a group of whatever outside her house banging on the outside, right? So I cruise the area. I get out. There's nobody there. I said, hey, if she needs anything, I'll come back, but I'm just going to keep checking the area, because if there's a group of like 5 or 6 juveniles running around, I would rather like make sure I loop the area and prevent any future problems and just deal with it now than keep coming back. So I check the area. Then we get another call. Hey, this lady says someone's at her door now. And so I go back. Nobody's there. This time I talk to the lady, and I'm like, and something seemed a little off, right? Like she's like, yeah, they were banging on my window. Now they came to my door. I'm like, all right, well, I checked the area. I didn't see anybody. I'm going to go check again. Just make sure, blah, blah. So I leave again. This next time she calls and says someone's in her house, that they're in her kitchen. So I go back over, I go into the house, and once I'm in the trailer, I realize like, okay, I'm dealing with someone that's a little bit different here. And she's like saying that people are coming up from the floor, that there's a secret hatch. So this lady's nuts, right? And I'm like, going through all the things, but she's like what they say, like A&O times 3, right? Like she knows where she's at, who she is, the date and time. Like she's in like sort of her right mind, but she's got this medication. I'm like, are you taking your medication? Do you need to go to the hospital? Well, no, it's fine. So then she calls back again. I come back out again. And this time, I'm like, lady, you got 2 choices. You can go to the hospital or you can stop calling. And she's like, you're going to find my dead body. I'm like, no one's going to find your dead body, lady. Just go to bed. Like, stop calling the police for mythological creatures. Stop it. Or I'm taking you to the hospital and checking you in. And so then I wake up the next day. I work midnights, and I wake up the next day, and I've got voicemails, text messages, all this stuff. And I call them like, what's going on? They're like, what happened with this lady at the whatever the address is? And I'm like, oh no, she's some psycho lady, man. I went out there like 18 times, and I told her to shut up, and they're like, yeah, you're the last person that had contact with her. Somebody found her half in and half out of her trailer, dead. Like her feet were like hanging out the front door. And she was dead the next day. And she just like OD'd on some medication she had, some pills or something like in there. But I was like, whoops. I guess you're right. But again, these aren't really homicides.
Yeah.
One thing somebody said in there, I don't know how far you have to scroll back up. Somebody said he had an awesome story. So let's put the number up for people to call in.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me just clarify.
The guy's name was Aaron, I think.
Let me just clarify the whole drunk take thing. I know, like glitter fart.
Fart.
Listen, the drunk take, it's like it still goes on your record. A lot of times the jail staff will not take somebody for it. Like the stars have to align and the moon has to be like 3/4 faced for the fucking jail staff to ever let somebody drunk come in there. I think it's a medical liability. So they typically make you go to the hospital. Then you're going to go sit at the hospital. Then you're out of the shift. Then people's cars are getting broke into in your own beat, or somebody gets stabbed or murdered in your beat because you're not managing it. And my beat was like, there was a rule. that if you weren't on your beat for more, if somebody was not on my beat for more than 45 minutes, somebody got stabbed or shot. So I always had to be on my thing. And if I took somebody to jail, I always had to get somebody to run over to my beat and watch it. Because if you're not patrolling up and down that street and that like 14 block corridor, somebody gets shot or killed. So you don't want to take anybody to the drunk tank because it's an all night thing. It's like a 6 to 8 hour.
Right. Yeah.
lockdown.
Yeah. It's not exactly what everybody thinks it is. It's not like Barney Fife or Andy locking somebody up for the night and just sending them on their way the next morning.
No, they got to have medical personnel check them out. They're always going to say that they're too drunk. You're going to go to the hospital.
Right.
It's a shit show.
Yeah. Another weird thing.
It's easier just to let them die.
Another weird thing is that was surprising that I learned when it came to like shootings, but homicides, or whatever. Bullets do weird things. That is something that is different than what you see on TV, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't a homicide doesn't necessarily mean if someone got shot up that there's blood everywhere. Sometimes they don't bleed that much. Bullets will go in and exit in really crazy places, do weird things. I've seen people shot up like with, let's say 40 caliber, 45 caliber, 9mm, all the typical calibers, sitting there having shot multiple times, having a conversation like me and you right now, like, shit, man, I got shot. Now I got to go get fixed up, and then other people got hit in the leg with like a 22 or a 32 and it just zippers up, shreds their femoral artery. They bleed out and die with, some random small caliber pistol. So bullets aren't what they are made out to be on TV. And you wouldn't think, sometimes people can get shot a lot of times and not die, and not bleed a lot. Sometimes they might get shot once and bleed a ton. It really it's all over the map when it comes to that stuff.
Sounds like we've got a caller, Mike.
We do?
Who's on the hotline? Who is it?
Hello, Mike. I am.
Why are you singling me out? I feel creeped
man.
out.
I don't exist. I'm not real.
Tansy's a person too.
I don't know your name, fucking.
Transy.
God dang.
People call me Transy.
Anyway, sorry. I have got a really weird homicide story for you. Okay.
All
right.
Okay. I am not a cop. Let me put it that way. I am a paramedic.
He's like, I'm not a cop, but I did kill somebody.
Oh, yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, probably, but nobody dies in an ambulance. They die at home or under the hospital. Anyway, yeah. So, we get called to a noise complaint and a weird smell. Don't you love those? The weird smell call. So anyway, we get there and they're like, we think somebody's dead in there. We get up to the top floor and this is in Springfield, Illinois. Okay. So I just want you guys to be aware that it's in the capital. And this dude looked like a chocolate version of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But he started out Caucasian. Okay. So
He's a burnt marshmallow man.
Pretty much, yeah. He is literally sitting on the couch. His TV is on like 1,000, and it's literally just like melting down him. I'm like, we're done. I ain't got shit to do with this stuff.
Right.
And the cops are like, are you sure he's dead?
Yeah.
Fuck you. Yes.
You should have transported him, man. You could have saved a life. You could have been a hero that night.
Yeah. Why don't you do CPR?
Suck a dick. No.
So, hey, when EMS, when you guys find something like that, do you have to do a report on it, or are you guys just like, nope, pass the buck?
And it's even the worst thing because it's the longest report that you will ever fucking see.
Really?
Because it's like found patient with I don't know, nothing. Pretty much, he's dead, and you can't really put any stickies on him because
pulse 0,
yeah,
heart rate 0, color.
Hey man, hey, what was your name?
Charred marshmallow.
I'm Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew, hey man, thanks for calling in. The chocolate. What?
I'm just going to say that this is why this is the homicide thing is.
Okay.
I got a call 3 days later saying that it was a crime scene because they found a bullet like through the wall.
Oh.
So that, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The plot
And
thickens.
They cooked him out. They literally they had the heat turned up in that apartment to about 98 degrees, which is
Of course they did.
a high to put it.
Did he have clothes on at least?
I don't know.
That seems like something you'd remember.
It's hard to recognize skin from clothes at a certain point.
Yeah, I get it.
Sometimes people do need to be picked up with shovels.
Yeah. I hate when you pick them up
biomed.
and their skin pulls forward.
Oh,
That's the worst. And you have to go get rags to try to get them. I used to
Bodies
hate that.
will swell up too, like the internal gases will build up and they bloat.
Yeah.
And when that stuff, dude, oh my gosh, if you roll someone over, this was not I know we labeled this homicide, but it's turning into like just death in general, pulling back the curtain on death scenes, you know. But that's where the conversation is going. I have a really disgusting homicide story here that I'm going to read shortly. But if you want to call in, put the number up. Thank you, Aaron, for calling in. Somebody called him. Sounds like Joe Rogan. So when you get Joe Rogan from not Joe Rogan, Seth Rogen. The caller sounded like Seth Rogen, maybe a budget version or something.
Go ahead, but Jimmy, you got one?
If you have an interesting homicide scene, feel free to call into that number to tell it. But anyway, this lady was dead, face down, and hello?
Interrupting cow moo.
Oh, hey, you know what? Let's just make it your show, okay?
Yeah.
A strange call-in guy. What do you have to tell us? I'll come back to my story.
Drink my milk. Fuck my old lady. Go ahead, caller. It's your show.
Hello?
Who is this?
Is this suicide hotline?
If I hear that Boston accent, it makes me. That's the first thing I want to do is commit suicide.
What are you talking about? This is Last Row Lopez. I swear to God.
Nope. No. Still Boston. What's up?
What the fuck? I was that bad of a giveaway? I didn't even use a Boston accent when I was talking about being on Suicide Hotline. I was supposed to say I was at the edge of the tow bin, and you were supposed to talk
Edge
me
of the
off
what?
The
The
ledge,
tower
man.
bin?
The tow bin. You ever been to Boston, Mike?
Yeah, I've been to Boston once, but what is a tow bin?
The Tobin Bridge is like the Golden Gate Bridge for Boston.
Oh, it's that cheap, stupid, weird-looking bridge there.
Yeah, it's an ugly green. But wait, Mike, when did you go to Boston? Because if you went to Boston, 29 years ago and banged my mom, maybe you're my dad.
Hold on a second. Where did the sound effect come from?
I don't know.
Jimmy, that's Jimmy hot on the fucking buttons right there.
Come on, man. We can't have callers coming in with pre-written material, jokes with sound effects, showing us up. Come on.
I'll tell you what, though. The next homicide scene I'm ever going to visit is probably going to be the one where I kill Boston Joe.
I'd like to see you try, motherfucker.
All right. Can you drop this color and let's get a real one? Good God. By the way, if you didn't know, that's
Boston Joe over here.
Podcast.
So where was I? Dead lady, face down. That's right. Me and the other guy on scene, first of all, I had to crawl in the window to get to her through her kitchen window. It was tiny, and she had dishes in the sink and all this other crap, and it was not fun to get into the house. But we remarked, wow, she seems to have been dead for a little while, but there's really no smell. Really weird, right? Man, this is a normal, smelling house with a dead body in it. Crazy. And then I rolled her over, obviously to check the body, to see, like, what do we have going on here? I mean, was it a homicide? Was it not a homicide? Because every dead body starts out as a potential homicide or suicide, something, right? And her eyeball stuck to the kitchen floor. And as I rolled her back, it peeled and stuck. And the stench that came from that woman's eye hole was like biblical proportions. God was judging every wrong act I had ever done up to that point in my life with the stench that was unleashed in that house from her eye socket. So yeah, that's another take on what scenes are possibly like. Boy.
We got another caller, Jimmy.
No,
He's working it out. He's working through it.
he's working
Look, I know
through
we
it.
missed like 2 on that last call, so
Oh, sorry guys.
call back if we missed you. Oh, post that number one more time.
Post the number. Do you want me to dive into this story out
Sure,
of New
go ahead.
Mexico?
Let's go.
All right. I'm going to fill in the details. The officer that pointed me to this story refuses to call in, doesn't want to be identified with this in any way, shape, or form. But is probably watching, listening, whatever. All right. Man sentenced for killing wife at Parker Hotel. Maybe, I don't know where this is then. In Colorado. Okay, anyway. A New Mexico man will spend 33 years in prison for murdering his wife last year in a hotel near Parker. Righty Velarde, 41, of Dulce, New Mexico, was sentenced August 17th after reaching a plea agreement with the 18th Judicial District in March. He pleaded guilty to 1 count each of second-degree murder and attempted sexual assault after prosecutors dropped 1 count of first-degree murder and 4 felony counts of sexual assault. Police found his wife, Marcy Natsine, 47, dead in March of 2006 at the Microtel Inn and Suites southeast of South Parker Road in East Pine. He was arrested in Colorado Springs for driving under the influence shortly after leaving the hotel. Had a blood alcohol content of 0.40. I don't even know how he was alive. That is ungodly amount of blood alcohol content. And at the time of his arrest, so he gets popped for drunk driving. He leaves his wife for dead in the hotel, hops in the car and flees, and then gets popped for drunk driving, and then says that his wife was dead in this hotel room. He attempted to change attorneys, switch a guilty plea to not guilty, like right before his sentencing. He was sentenced to 8 to 24 years in prison, but the aggravating circumstance of the crime warranted additional penalties. He got an additional 6 years on top of the murder for the sexual assault. This is the weird point. She, the wife, was found under a flipped mattress after the husband, with unkempt fingernails, had decided to fist his wife's butthole and do jazz hands inside of her and perforated her colon, and she bled out and died in the hotel with her blood alcohol content by the coroner at 0.494.
How is that murder?
I don't know.
That's just kink.
This is
He murdered that
homicide.
asshole.
He killed her with his fingernails in her butthole.
Listen, sometimes I get drunk and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do butt stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, this was to quite an extreme.
Well, at a 0.04, who knows what? I mean, yeah,
0.4, not 0.04,
a 0.40. Who knows what?
You
kind of
should
butt
be
stuff I'll be
dead.
doing.
The PBTs only go to like 0.6. You got to go to the hospital if you're above a 0.35 or something like that. You're gonna die.
Look, Amber's getting.
How did they live through the butt thing?
Amber
Whatever you
HH
call
is
that.
getting all hot and bothered. She's like, "Can you be a little bit more graphic? Can you tell us what kind of lube he had on his fist before it entered her?"
All right,
butthole?"
who called
Caller,
in?
we got it. We
That
got
was
a caller on the line.
that's
Who are
another
you?
murder story.
Hearing you. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, this is the worst shit I've ever heard.
You're either really young or you're
Well,
really old. That is
You've
a
got
weird
to.
voice.
You're supposed to be telling us the worst shit we've ever
No.
heard.
Yeah, I'm going to.
All right, I'm ready.
Actually, I'm calling about a Louis Vuitton purse.
Another one. Is this
Another
is this
one?
Shit in a Louis
It's just
Vuitton
a
purse number
giant
2.
Bag of shit. That's what I'm calling about.
Wait,
Or
what?
you actually know the story behind the shit bag of Louis Vuitton.
You guys accused me of that last time.
Wait, you called before?
I called before, yeah.
What's your name?
My name's Melissa. And
I
I'm
only
calling from Canada.
I only remember talking to Harley.
Oh, Canada, the Canadian crackheads.
Oh, Canadian crackheads.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Which is really unfortunate if that becomes what I'm known for.
well,
Just like
Canadian
Transy,
crackhead.
it's gonna
Yeah.
stick.
Yeah.
You got a good
But
homicide story?
I do, actually.
Let's hear it.
And it's like the worst Canadian murder scene ever. It's the most gruesome one.
And you were there?
So I wanted to give you guys. No, I wasn't there, but you need to keep in mind for the end of this, like for the story, that the man spent about 6 years in a group home. He got off as not guilty, and he spent 6 years in a group home with someone just like me working with him, a friend of mine actually.
After the
And-
murder, he was in a group home, like what you're saying?
Yeah. He got off
I gotcha.
for being insane, and he
Okay.
spent 6 years there. And then on February 17th in 2017, he got re-released into the general population.
Tell us about this murder. How bad was it?
So it happened on July 30th in 2008, and it was on a Greyhound bus.
Okay.
And the man who got murdered was just a really good guy, a typical Canadian guy. He was a father. No, I mean this part's not typical, but he was a carny. Like he traveled around.
Well, carnies are
running
never good people.
carnival.
By the way.
Carnies
Carnies are
all
never
they
good
all they do
people.
is amass
You know what?
large
though?
amounts of
He
warrants.
wasn't. No,
Like he's a
was
typical
he
good
was
guy.
a-
He's a carny. Like that's
He
not.
was a good. Yeah, he was a young guy, just a good guy, a young Canadian father from Edmonton, and he was working at the carnival, and he
Okay.
took the Greyhound bus from
Yeah.
Edmonton to Winnipeg home.
Okay.
And the bus had about 32 passengers, and it's pretty typical. Like I think most Canadians in the early 2000s and the 90s took the Greyhound bus across Canada. Like it was like a normal thing. to
Sure.
do.
So what happened? What happened on the
People-
on the Greyhound?
So a man named Vince Lee
Okay.
got on the bus, and I'll get right to the point of it. But he decapitated Tim McLean, and he
On the
cannibalized
bus?
him.
He cannibalized
on the
them
bus,
on the
Gre- yeah,
bus?
on the bus.
How did he decapitate him with
cannibalize
what?
him on the
On the
bus?
A pocket knife?
So, no, he had a giant, like, hunting knife, like a serrated edge hunting knife. The news said it was like a Rambo knife, but it was just like a typical hunting knife, really. Like,
How did he cannibalize him though? I'm actually looking it up right now. It says the killing of
yeah,
Tim
look
McLean
it
occurred
up.
on.
Tim McLean.
Yeah,
and
I'm
Vince
seeing it right
Lee.
now.
Okay.
He was a 40-year-old Chinese Canadian named Vince Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you're right. He was released in 2015. That's fucking crazy. Well, I mean, it's Canada. But wow,
Probably
that's
has a position in
interesting.
Justin Trudeau's administration.
That is
Oh,
crazy.
fuck
How did he? Do you know which part he
Trudeau and
ate?
fuck Biden, those fuckers. Oh my goodness.
Do you know who he?
Pardon me?
Which part of the body did he eat?
He ate.
I ate his
Well,
liver.
Oh, his
he ate
ears.
the
Fava
eyes-
beans and a nice
he ate
Chianti.
The eyes and the heart.
Oh,
He ate
the eyes and the heart.
first. But he also had
Kali Jahado.
uh,
Kali Jahado.
Tim's ears, his nose, and his tongue in his pockets. When he was-
Nice.
yeah, when the police yeah. So
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
so he started. So Tim was just hanging out in the back of the bus, listening to his headphones. Like
Spent a whole
listening
shift
to
putting some faulty
his
nuts and
kids.
bolts on these rides for kids,
Yeah.
and then got cannibalized on a bus on the way home.
Yeah, she's like,
Is it-
my son's
Yeah.
39 inches. I swear to God. And he's like, bitch, I don't care if that fucking kid falls off this ride. Let him
how
on.
does a bus? You know what? Screw Canadians.
what, though?
You know what?
You know
Screw
what, though?
Canadians.
Like,
Because
Tim,
guess
I
what?
can
They
honestly-
have this reputation for being nice. You had 30 more people on that bus. Now, what did they do? Sit there and sip their double-doubles from Timmy Ho's while this guy cannibalized another human in front of him on a bus? Come
The guy
on.
was Chinese,
No
Mike.
one stepped in?
The
No
guy was
one?
Chinese. You can't mess with the Chinese in Canada.
You're wrong. And if you YouTube it, you can see two of the bus passengers and the bus driver.
Yeah.
At first, everybody got off the bus, and the bus driver emergency locked the bus.
Everybody left the guy to die? Not cool.
Wait, Melissa.
All right, thanks for calling in, Melissa.
So much for calling in again this week. Lázaro Lopez, I want to hear this story about the dogs. You got to call in, homie. Somebody says Ghostface. It is Tim Hortons, and they offered politely.
I hope people picked up on a couple of movie references I made in the middle of that gruesome homicide story.
All right,
I did an Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. I did a freaking Silence of the Lambs. That was quality entertainment. You're welcome.
Who do we got on the line?
What's up, guys? My name is Chris. I'm from Chicago. Two things. I just wanted to say, as a gay dude, not that I've been to that, but I will never, ever, after that last story about the guy with the jazz hands.
You're not doing jazz hands in any of your future partners?
No, I will never. I've never been into fisting because I like my asshole intact.
Okay.
But like,
hey, that's the favorite way to have my. I mean, if you're gonna have assholes, intact ones are the way to go.
I'm just like, what was the prolapse like? Because you'd figure, like, if you've got your whole fist in there, she had to have like prolapse.
They were out of there. They were obliterated.
I was at there's this gay fetish convention.
Okay, hold on a second. Is this a murder story?
No, yes.
It's about another asshole getting murdered.
Well, yes. Long story short, I have seen the results of a guy's fisted, and it didn't prolapse. So that's not always
really.
It doesn't always happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I know. I thought it was disgusting. It's just not. It doesn't turn me on to be able to fit a tomato with my ass. I don't know. It's just I'm good.
Would you stop with the fucking noise shit over there?
What kind of gadgets did you buy this
you don't
guy?
Have to push him every 5 seconds.
Yeah, Jesus, that made me sound kind of more gay than I am.
Well played.
So I'm an EMT, right?
Okay.
And so we go for this seizure call, and I work in the fucking hood, like the absolute. Like if anybody's heard of Harvey, Illinois, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so we work in the absolute hood. So we're flying down the street to get there, and as we're en route, we get an update that says the coppers on the scene are asking us to expedite. And my partner responds with, "Well, my partner's doing 70. I was driving."
Okay.
So
69. You were doing 69. Go ahead.
Well, if I was looking at Hansley, I was doing 69. But anyway,
I heard a joke today from my dad, of all people. He said that they're going to call 69 96 now because the oh man, I forgot the punchline. Because the price of oral is going up under Joe Biden. Oh, the price of eating out. The price of eating out is going up under Joe Biden. All right, sorry. I had to say it while it was in my head.
Sorry, Chris.
No, you're fine.
All right, so you're going 69. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going 69. Looking at the guy on the right, the cute copper on the right from Raleigh or whatever. And we get there.
Oh my gay!
Huge. Hey, it's a huge fucking. It's a huge fucking ratchet ass house party. So we don't take much in because we're told the guy's having a seizure. So we get up there. He's between the toilet and the bathtub. And I'm stepping in standing water. The sink's still running. There's a cup on the sink for them pouring so much fucking water in this guy's face. He's dead as a doornail when we get there. So we start trying to do CPR and shit. Then we run back out to the ambulance to grab all our shit. The party's still going on. So their dead homie is just, dead as fuck while everybody's downstairs having a good time. And nobody noticed that the guy wasn't breathing. Maybe he drowned. There was so much fucking water. We couldn't even shock the fucking guy. He was in fib on the monitor. We couldn't even shock the fucking guy. We had to drag him out of there, get him on a carpet, dry him off. We had to put the monitor in the hallway because we couldn't let it get wet. So the pads were 20 feet away from where the guy was getting shocked. It was insane.
This is terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, all the party's still going on.
Yeah, like nobody even stops. Like everybody's twerking
Right.
on each other, having a great time.
Exactly. It was quite comical.
What was your name again? Chris?
Chris.
Chris, dude, thank you for calling in. That was funny. That was funny.
Anytime. Good. I'm glad I could entertain you guys. You guys have a good one.
Well played. Well played, sir.
Thanks,
That's
dude.
how you call in to a call-in show, folks.
That's what I'm talking about. Dylan says this is the most Chicago shit. He's got like the quintessential Chicago accent too. It's great, which is way better than a Boston accent, by the way.
You want to do one more, Mike?
Well, I haven't. Well, have we heard a homicide story from you other than the guy dying? Like, or
Dude, I got so many. You just got to give me a genre of homicide story.
Well, I don't.
Like you pick the genre, and I'll tell you a story about
the genre.
Yeah, like what kind of homicides you want?
I don't know how dark. I don't know how dark I want to turn this. I mean, I have more stories, and I have a really notable one, but it's very dark, and I don't want people to be like walking away all depressed.
I like the funny ones. I like the funny murders. All right, I've got a funny murder for you. So, my old partner, her name was Lorne, and I spell that Lorn, Lorne. She's from
like
Detroit
Lorne Michaels
as well.
from Saturday Night
She's
Live?
from Detroit as well. She's back up there now. But anyway, Lauren, if you're listening
How
to
come
the show,
she's not hanging out with us?
if I come up there, she'll probably come and visit.
What? I'm not good enough?
No, you are, but she was my partner for a long time, so she'd like to probably say hi. She's got kids now and stuff, so it's probably I got lots of jokes for her.
Oh, so she can't have lunch with me because she's got kids?
I know she can absolutely have lunch with you.
You make it sound like you got to be here.
Like she's got hands that are like bigger than both of our heads. She was a basketball
That's a weird thing
player.
to bring up.
But anyway, she got a call one night, and she calls me and she's like, "Hey, are you busy?" And I was like, "Not really. What you got?" She's like, "So I just got a message on my MCT. They didn't call it out over the radio, and it said that there's a suspicious person behind Weebobs, which Weebobs is a little mini mart. And it says it appears that maybe according to social media, it might be a dead body." So the fact that
according to social media,
right? But like even if like it's a maybe it was a homicide or maybe there's a body, you'd think dispatch would like put that over the radio.
Yeah,
She's like, "Look, I'm all about like going out back there, but I'd rather not go by myself." And I was like, "Dude, I don't blame you. Like I'll go with you. Like shit, walking behind Weebobs by yourself during the day would be scary by yourself. I can't even imagine doing it at like 2 a.m. So we walk behind Weebobs and we start scoping around. There's a trail that leads from Weebobs back to some old apartments. It's probably like 300 yards long, this trail. So we start walking the trail. And of course, we walk right up on a body and it's got a bullet right, like dead center mass of the skull. Somebody got shot right in the head, right in the
looks like a hit job. This guy knew what he was doing.
It was perfect. It was like a perfect point blank shot. And so we go back to the parking lot, call it in as a homicide and everything. And this guy shows up and I'm doing crime scene tape. This guy's like, officer, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you really quick? Can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah, what do you got, bro? We're like, what you got? And he's like, man, I think that's my cousin. Now, like you hear this all the time in the ghetto and you're like, maybe not. But he's like, no, man, it's my cousin. I said, I'll tell you what, dude, give me your cousin's name. And then I'll tell you if it's your cousin. So he gives me his cousin's name. I walk to some detectives. I go, hey man, by chance is that dude dead back there? Is his name such and such? And they're like, oh shit. Yeah, that's exactly what his name is. Why? And I was like, I got his cousin over here. What to know about it? So I go back over to the cousin. I'm like, man, when's the last time you talked to him? And he's like, just 45 minutes ago, man. And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, man, I just talked to him. So I talked to the detectives and they're like, yo, see if he'll voluntarily go to the detective station with you since you got rapport with him and then take him up there and we'll question him. So I was like, sure. So I go over to the guy and I was like, hey man, look, would you jump in my car and I'll run you up to the detective station really quick. They want to ask you a couple questions. He's like, no, man, I'm not doing that. And I was like, well, look, dude, like I want to find the murderer. I want to find this guy. He's still on the loose and you hold the key possibly to solving this murder. So the guy's like kind of getting pumped up and I'm like,
you're like, have you ever seen the first 48, bro?
Yeah.
Like we got to get going.
We got to go, baby. So I was like, jump in the car. And he's like, all right, but I have to drop off. I have to go talk to the babysitter first because she's watching my daughter and let her know that I'm doing this. I'm like, sure, man, we'll drive over there. No problem. So he jumps in the front seat of my car. We drive. I don't pat him down or anything.
That's stupid.
It is. So we drive to an
That's really
apartment. He's showing me the way. We drive to an apartment. He jumps out and takes off running. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I jump out of my car. I'm like, yo, stop. And he turns around. He's like, hey, I'm just going to go tell the babysitter something really quick. And I'm like, well, do I chase him or do I just let him go? So he runs up the stairs and he runs into an apartment. He opens the door. He visibly throws something into the apartment, shuts the door, runs downstairs and gets back in my front seat. And he's just staring at me. I'm like, what was that? He was like, I just told the babysitter, I'll be right back. I was like, huh. Because I know what I saw was he didn't say anything to anybody. He just threw something in the room. But I don't want to like let him know that I know, because I don't want to like ruin this thing being voluntary. So I drive him all the way to the detective station, and his like mood has completely changed. I get down there and I tell him all the stuff that I just witnessed. So they talked with this dude for like an hour and a half, and they come back out there and they're like, you idiot. And I was like, what? And they're like, you better fucking hope and pray to God that phone and that fucking gun are still in that apartment. Because he told us that he's the, like, we've pretty sure this dude's the killer.
You just gave a shotgun ride to the murderer?
And we went back and there was a 14-year-old girl in there, and she was like, yeah, there's a gun and a cell phone, and they're both on the couch. He threw them in here and we just didn't want to touch them.
Smart move, young lady.
So
Smart
I rode
move.
in the front seat with the murderer that had a gun on him the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
Let's do one more call.
Well, I want to open it up too for people. Like, I do want to, I want to give an opportunity for people to ask questions, right? Because I don't really know what you guys may want to know if you don't have obviously experience in homicide investigation or homicide scenes. If you want, we've been telling stories, obviously you're hearing stories about homicides and death and all that. But if you have questions about this stuff, you can also call in, or you can drop a super chat, or you can put it in the comments. We might see it, we might not. Just whatever you want to call in and ask a question. We'll be doing that too. That's cool. While we wait for that to happen, somebody asked, go up a little bit, Elijah, in the comments. Mike, Ray asked, Mike, why don't you ever show the good and the bad with police? Ray, I don't know what that even means. Why don't I ever show the good and the bad with police? On this channel, I have done both. And I've had this channel since February of 2016. And I have done both. So don't know what you're talking about, but thanks for watching Night Shift.
Ray, it's because all cops are bastards. You know this.
That's right.
We don't support the police here on Failure to Stop Police Podcast. I'm just kidding.
Why do you hate state troopers? No, when it comes to homicides in Michigan, a lot, and especially Metro Detroit, but they're the crime scene processors. The state police are really big into helping departments process homicide scenes or crime scenes. They've got all the bells and whistles and the forensics and all that good stuff. I've seen them do some crazy stuff with like footprints. There's a homicide scene that I was happy to be at one time, and a neighbor from house 1 walks through the snow, hops the fence, walks into the back sliding door of his neighbor's house, him and 2 buddies. And they go into this house, and they're in the hallway. Homeowner, who's like, I want to say he was like 80 or in his 80s. Old dude. Him and his wife are home sleeping in bed, and the bedroom where the old people are at is literally like, it's kind of like as far as you can go. So you've got the kitchen that kind of actually leads into a hallway down the length of the house where the bedrooms is. They're in the back bedroom. And so they've got this back bedroom and kitchen. And this guy wakes up, sees these shadows in the kitchen, and he blasts one and kills one of the intruders in his kitchen. Dude's dead as a doornail right there on the spot. Doesn't make it. I mean, he just drops him right there. And then the other people take off running, but we ended up finding evidence that this was the neighbor who had just been like stalking. And then that was a good ending homicide. That was one where like I didn't feel bad, you know.
Yeah.
You broke in there and got exactly what was coming to you. You get plugged with a old man gun owner in his own home and says, "Not today, neighbor, not today."
Not on my watch.
Not on my
Son
watch.
of a bitch. We got a caller, Mike.
All right, what do we got?
What do we got, Jimmy? Patch us through. Did they hang up? They still there?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Hey, who is this?
Hey, it's Sean. I work for the great state of Mecklenburg County.
Oh, Mecklenburg. That's Charlotte.
Yes, it is.
Hey, my rum's
Nice.
in Charlotte. Have you had my rum yet?
I have not. I've been
Wow.
looking for it. I actually live down in Union County, and I've been looking for it.
It's on Market Street. Is that a real street? Market.
I have no
You don't
idea.
even know where your
I
rum's
try
at. You're
not to
making
go
shit
into
up.
Charlotte too often.
All right. Well, what you got, homie, from Mecklenburg?
So we get this call of an ADW with injury, right? Pretty much like right after roll call. It's maybe a quarter of a mile or so away from the team office. We're hauling ass getting over there. So basically, I guess the gist of what happened is homeboy gets shot in the back of the head from the like the rear passenger area of the SUV, kind of like a Honda CRV kind of thing, and kind of like what Mike said earlier, bullets do a really weird ass thing, and so homeboy was shot in the back of the head. Well, the bullet ended up in like the corner of his eye, like completely visible, and so
Oh, weird.
That's what I like.
so whenever a homicide,
So it didn't
detective got
make
there-
its way all the way out. You could just like see it in the eye.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
whenever homicide and crime scene got there, the crime scene tech was trying so hard to convince the homicide detectives to pop the bullet out like she was popping a pimple.
Yeah. 'Cause
Because
that's what you
like she
should
could
do.
literally just stick her finger on the edge of the eye and then like right on the eyeball and just push the bullet out. But
That's something
pretty
you don't
cool.
see every day.
No, but I love it. Look, we got a question here. It says, how many times have y'all thrown up from sight or smell on a scene? Have you ever thrown up there, Mecklenburg County?
so I haven't really had too many dead bodies that have been dead for a while. Usually mine are pretty fresh.
You like the
fresh.
fresh ones. I have not thrown up personally, but I've had one where I had to go get my gas mask. The gas mask didn't quite work, so I went and grabbed the Felony Forest. The what do they call these things? The little Christmas
Black
trees
ice?
that smell good.
Yeah, black ice.
Yeah, the little black ice. I had to take the black ice, put it in my gas mask, put the gas mask on, and then proceed to work the dead body scene. So that's about as close as
I have
I've come.
never thrown up on the
Never thrown
scene
up, no.
of a homicide, suicide, any car accidents, all that. Never thrown up. The only time I ever threw up on the job, I had to incinerate 2 large pit bulls that I had to carry out of a fire, and I had to transport them in some van to the incinerator, and the smell definitely overcame me, and I was puking in the front seat while I was driving these dogs. And that's the only time I ever threw up on the job. Never with a human body, only with dogs.
Dodge, that was a great story that you sent in the comments here. We've got your number now. If you'll just call in right this second, we'll answer the phone for you. But yeah, that's a story worth telling, my friend.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, Dodge, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good.
What do we got?
Oh yeah. Hey, so
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what I'm doing tonight.
yeah, so my name's Dave, former RPD here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've been having a lot of problems with like motorcyclists and these hot rod cars in Raleigh over the past several years. So one night while I was still on patrol in North Raleigh, I got a call. They needed a crash reconstructionist over in North Raleigh for a major crash, which means, someone's died or serious injury. So I get over there, and as I'm driving, I see the comments, and it says, there's a head in the road. We're not sure where the body is. And all we have is a crashed motorcycle. That's all we got. So
Just a head on the road and a motorcycle.
Yep.
Now, with a
that's it.
head, was it in a helmet or was it just not in a helmet?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
It gets better.
Okay.
I promise it gets better.
Okay. I just want to.
It gets better than a random head and a helmet.
Glory.
Yeah, so I get there, and the officers are there, kind of locking down the scene, putting up the tape, and sure as shit, there is no car anywhere. There's a crashed motorcycle, maybe a football field down the road. I could just immediately tell the motorcycle had to have been going 80 plus or so, somewhere around in there, very fast. Still no idea where the car is. So as I'm like mapping out the scene, trying to get measurements and all that, I'm looking at this helmet in the middle of the road, and I get closer and shine a light on it, and this dude's head is still in there. His eyes are still open.
Oh.
It was almost like he'd been cemented in the road and become part of traffic, just, right in the middle of the road. Eyes wide
terrible.
open. Yeah, oh yeah.
But no body. But there's no body. It's just the head.
There is no body.
Was there a lot of blood or no?
No blood, other than just from the helmet bouncing down the road a little ways before it came to rest.
Okay.
Yeah. So we start circulating. It's in an area where there's a couple big.
Did you do
apartment
CPR?
complexes. Yeah.
Mouth to mouth.
I just put the fingers up there and tried to poke the brain a bit, I guess, to get
You
it.
did the puppet? Are you okay?
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
I'm fine. I'm having a really shitty day.
Motorcycle too fast.
Don't
Let's
drive
go,
too fast,
Brandon.
kids.
Let's go, Brandon.
So anyway,
Okay.
it was probably 30 minutes later. Here on the radio, hey, I think we found the car, because we had some witness statements that said, hey, this van made a turn, went down this road. We think it might be down there somewhere. So anyway, got officers out there looking for it. So anyway, they find this white van with the side window busted out of it.
Free
and
puppies.
it's parked right in the parking spot, but in that window, pair of legs sticking out.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yep, pair of legs are sticking out, and the headless torso is still inside the van.
Wow.
So this guy had driven home after he turned in front of this motorcyclist. The motorcyclist went up into the car, and the top of the van actually ripped his head off, and his body went through the window and just kind of chilled out for a minute.
The pictures were amazing.
Yeah, the guy drives home, parks his van, walks inside, and is like, nothing happened.
That'll buff out.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was Hispanic. The van driver was Hispanic.
Yeah, and he most definitely had. And
his wife was like,
airbag
"What the
dust and
fuck?"
shit all over him. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I remember that call
Wow.
because I was one of the officers circulating, and we were trying to figure it all out. And I'll never forget the call. I'll never forget the pictures. I think Johan. Oh, I'm not gonna say his name on here, but he's the one that took the pictures, and they were magnificent. I mean, clean. Just took that head clean off.
Yep.
Clean off. Dodge, thanks for calling in. Hey, when are we gonna get to hear you play again?
Oh, hey, whenever.
Mike,
Let
he's
me
the one that
know.
played music for us when you came in town.
Oh, okay, cool.
They were pork chops and ham hocks. Follow him on Instagram. What is it on Instagram? What's that handle?
I do.
Pork chops, ham hocks.
Pork chops, ham hocks. Throw that up on the things for us, Elijah, so you can go over to Instagrammies or
It's like,
Facebooks.
okay, let me randomly hope I spell this right. Pork chops, ham hocks. Yeah. Maybe.
Pork chops, ham hocks.
It could be. It could be right.
It's all pig related. It's all good.
I don't know or is it hammocks? HMMOCK. Hamhock.
That's all right. There's a little underscore in there between. That's all right. No big deal.
Yeah, we'll figure
Find
it
them,
out.
guys.
I'll post it.
Everybody
I'll
find
post it
them.
on the Fair to Stop Instagram and on the
Where's the
Facebook. So you
underscore
guys
at?
go over there and follow those guys there.
In
They're a
between the two
hoot.
words.
They're a hoot.
I don't know.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right,
man. We'll see you
Dodge,
soon.
We'll see you soon.
So what's that was an awesome one. What's the weirdest weapon? Any unusual things? Like we've heard a hunting knife, we've had gunshots tonight, we've had jazz hand long fingernails in a butthole. A lot of things have killed people on tonight's show. Vehicles. So what? Any weird other weapons? Because I've got one that was surprising to me, I guess.
I don't know. I'm trying to think in my brain. I don't have any weird weird weapons. I mean,
In-
I've had like almost homicides from a hammer, but no, he didn't die. so it doesn't count.
In one double homicide, I had same killer killed 2 people in the apartment. Person number 1 was killed with a Swiss Army knife.
Okay.
Like one of the like a tinier one, like a multi tool.
Whoa.
I don't think it was like a Swiss Army.
Sorry.
What?
No.
What's going on?
Do you have it on you? So I made these I wanted these pocket knives back when I had a wine reviews website, and they were Swiss Army knives called Tate's Reviews knives. And these guys go out on the Appalachian Trail that I know, and all these guys in the army, because it's the most worthless fucking knife on the planet. And they'll do these videos where they're like, where would I be without my tainsreviews.com pocket knife? This has gotten me through the most survival.
It's a murder weapon.
Anyway, so somebody got murdered.
It was like a multi-tool. It wasn't actually the Swiss Army brand, but it was something like that, like a Leatherman. A Leatherman, right?
Leatherman. I got you.
Yeah. With the edge of a tiny Leatherman thing. Okay. Same scene, different victim, choked out and killed with a karate belt. Same killer, same scene, 2 different weapons.
What level belt teaches you to kill somebody with your fucking belt?
It was a white belt.
Oh,
it was a white belt.
That's a blue belt, because only blue belts know how to kill people with their belt.
Yeah. So
that was a white belt for real?
Yeah. It was
promote him, black belt. Win.
Yeah.
Get it all with the stripes and all.
He was later found sitting in a parking garage, just kind of buying time because he knew the gig was up.
If you kill somebody with your karate belt, do you get to move up the ranks?
In some disciplines.
Okay. What about yours? Yeah. What about the jiu-jitsu?
No, that's frowned upon.
Synagogue that you practice in today.
It's frowned upon. My Jewish jitsu at the synagogue. Jiu-jitsu? What is jiu-jitsu? We choke out Israeli descent. If we choke out Jewish people, jiu-jitsu. We grapple them.
Dude,
I feel like
I've had too much beer for this.
All right, someone had posted what's the number to call in. It was a few comments a while back. If anybody has poke away some questions in the comments, or if you want to call in and ask a question, if you got a story, great. We're going to be wrapping up here soon, but if you have questions about homicide scenes, about how they're investigated, about the timing of things, the technology of things, fire away. We'll be happy to try to answer from our experience, at least, so that you get a little bit more insight into it. People really love the Jimmy laugh in the background of this episode because it's happened so many times.
He's like a squirrel. We're all laughing in here. But by the way, before we get too far in this show is brought to you by Mint Mobile. We're calling on our Mint Mobile burner phone, $15 a month. Every cop's got to have one. Use Mint Mobile. Ryan Reynolds, I think, is the guy behind
a cop
all
if you
the
don't
things.
have a burner phone.
We're not going to do a real
gun.
ad read for it right now. But Mint Mobile did provide the phone number, the phone, and all of the assets to make tonight's show possible. So super big fans of Mint Mobile right now. How much do fingerprints actually matter? I mean, a lot. Fingerprints can tell you a lot of things. I mean, they can tell you who was there and who wasn't there. Tell you what, you find Jimmy's fingerprints in my bedroom anywhere, he fucking did it, because that dude's not allowed within 300 feet of my bedroom.
By court order.
By court order.
Fingerprints matter a huge deal, but they're not really the magic that people might think they are, and they can't be pulled off of all of the surfaces that people think they can. Like, my house got broken into. Well, they had to have touched this rock to get inside. Can you take fingerprints off this rock? No, we can't. It doesn't work that way.
Also, DNA is a really shady thing to get into. You have to be real careful when you hear, especially when the media says that there was DNA and there was DNA, because DNA can be you have lots of DNA.
DNA
all
is
over
everywhere.
You. So, for instance, there was a homicide they were trying to solve here in Raleigh, and the guy went to Golden Corral.
Boston Joe, for example, he puts his DNA with Lastro Lopez or on Lastro Lopez.
Yes.
You can't even take that to the lab.
They tried to go after the fork that the guy was using to get his DNA off the fork to try to charge him with a murder. And so they had watched him eat his Golden Corral, and they watched him take the fork and set it down on the table or whatever, bussing the table. They went and they retrieved the fork. Well, yes, his DNA was on that fork, but so was 374 other DNA matches.
Right.
So they couldn't really do anything with it. So, yeah, DNA is a very shady thing to use because there's a lot of shit on your hands. Some of you dudes jerk off in the shower and then go shake other people's hands all day. So guess what?
I don't want to think about that.
Your DNA is all over like whoever you shook hands with all day. So if they end up dead, they could say, well, like your semen was found on their hand, on your banker's hand after you deposited your $10,000 check and shook his
What's
hand.
the motive?
Yeah.
It's actually old school investigation techniques that break most cases or that get convictions in cases, like DNA, things like fingerprints, DNA, and all that stuff. But that's only a piece of the puzzle. It's really important to establish motive. Right, we're talking about motive, opportunity. There's those things are just as important as like things like fingerprints or DNA or whatever else. And like Tansy said, like if you could have a murder scene and then you're going to pull DNA, a bloody fingerprint may be better than one of the other ones found, but you're going to find if at someone's apartment, you might find 20 different fingerprints, So how do you establish who did what in that case? You have to piece it together with more old school techniques than people might think. It's not all fancy gadgets and everything that really catch the killers all the time. It's old school police investigation.
Next caller, go ahead.
Hi, this is Heather. I'm from Arizona.
What's up, Heather from Arizona?
What's up, Heather from Arizona? It's a great way to introduce yourself.
I actually am friends with the guy that took down the people at the Chevron.
At the what?
The guy that was.
Wait, stop. Hang on. Are you out of breath?
No.
Okay. You sound like you're out of breath. Sound like you sprinted 100 feet to get to this phone.
Sorry.
Okay, you're fine. So the Chevron.
I talk really fast.
That's okay.
I
so do I.
apologize. So, Mike, you put on your Facebook the guy that took out the 3 kids at the Chevron.
The Marine?
Yeah, he's my friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Super,
so
super
he's the guy that the bad guys come in. The one holds up a gun. He like instantly springs into action. Yes, got it. And he wore a Let's Go Brandon tee when he was interviewed.
Went to his wedding. I'm good friends with him.
Dude, can we get him on our show?
I can work it out. Yeah.
Dude, tell him to call us. We'd love to get this guy on the show.
Yeah, I can totally work that out.
Perfect.
Anyway, I called to tell about a story of mine from a homicide.
Okay.
So
what's your connection? If you're the killer, don't admit it on our show, but
I want to solve a case.
I'm a retired police officer.
Oh, thank you for my service.
So
thank you for your
I
service.
worked night shift, and I just got into briefing, and then they had like they had people out doing a welfare check on a house, and my old mate that I did. He was on my shift with me before, but this time he wasn't with me. He went in there and they found a guy with a freaking knife in his head. So, like stuck in his head. It was funny. If you watch the video, it was funny. I'm sorry. I'm bad.
No.
But if you watched the body cam, it was hilarious.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was my area. I know.
Can you get us a copy of that?
Can we get the copy? Can we get a copy?
We need a copy of this body cam.
Anyway, so I went out there because it was my area, and I took over for this guy. He and I pretty much solved this murder in like 6 hours without detectives, because detectives don't need us half the time.
Sure.
Anyway, so I got out there. We started calling around. It actually was it was his stepson that actually put this knife into this guy's head and then went. I'm from Yuma. I don't know where you know where that is. Phoenix
I
is
took the
2.5
310
hours.
there.
I took a 310 to Yuma once.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyway, so
I'm sure you've never heard that ever.
And never, no. So he was in Phoenix. So I got a hold of Phoenix PD, and I got a hold of different people, and they actually took him down with a dog and everything, and got him in custody. And I had him in custody in Phoenix and had everything solved by the time the detectives got there with their warrant and everything else to go in the house. And it was crazy. But it's funny how, little tiny patrol officers can do whatever they can do. And then my patrol sergeant, all he said was, "Why'd you milk this call?" Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, don't fucking milk the call.
And I worked on that call for 15 hours, dude. 15 hours.
Yeah, you sandbagging son of a bitch.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That's too funny, man. That's awesome. Well, hey,
thanks. Go.
Thank you so much, and
definitely
see if you can reach out to Homeboy.
Yeah, reach out to us on social media, and if you can make the connection, great. And if you can get us that body cam footage of seeing a knife stuck in some dude's head, we'll take it.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I'm retired now, and they don't really. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But I'll work with getting James.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for calling in. In the comments, there's you too. James Reynard had said, scroll up a little bit there, UPP. To his first, so cool. He says, so cool talking homicide death scene. Sorry I got here late. Retired Leo. Processed over 700 scenes. Stay safe. And then go down. Somebody said, take a body down, pass it around. Oh, it's Tansy. He says some you couldn't pass around. Some you couldn't do that with. I'm sure that there's a lot there.
We got a caller on.
Mute the stream.
Yeah,
I hear you breathing in my ear. What a creeper. You gonna murder me or what?
that may be a possibility.
It's a Zodiac killer.
But my name's Austin. I'm from Monroe. I watch y'all a lot. But
hell yeah.
I'm not a police officer, but I do back the blue. But I have a question.
Yeah.
How much blood have y'all seen on like one single call?
So the most blood I've ever seen on a call, actually the dude did not die, but there was a white guy having a birthday party at a Hispanic hotel. You heard that right. So there are black hotels, Hispanic hotels, segregation.
Well, they're the only one that had the piñata, and his kid had his heart.
Segregation is alive and well in North. I'm just kidding. It's just there's typically some hotels house mainly Hispanics.
Stereotypes are funny because they're true.
Because they're true. So this guy was a white dude partying his ass off at a Hispanic hotel, and those dudes told him to knock it off and go to bed. He lipped off, and so they all broke their Corona bottles and got to work on this guy. And they slashed him front to back, head to toe. I've never seen more blood in my life. And the guy lived, but I mean, dude, there was so much. There was blood up and down the stairs, all over the railings. Both beds in the hotel room were soaked. All the light switches where he tried to turn lights off. He was bleeding out into the sink, the shower. He passed out like by the TV, so he knocked the TV over. So blood was running from the TV screen down. I mean, just pulled up. It was everywhere, man. But it was a lot of blood. And when I got there, he was blue from blood loss.
I'm sure.
But they brought him back, and my job for that was he had an 8-year-old daughter that was trying to sleep in the room and got scared. And so she stayed in my cop car for 3 or 4 hours while we tried to figure out a next of kin and everything else. But she sat in my car and watched Dora the Explorer on YouTube for 3 hours.
You're pretty sure that dude was going to pass, right?
I thought he was, for sure. She was asking a lot of questions. I mean, she was 8. I didn't understand at the time because I didn't have kids that were 8, but now I have an 8-year-old son. And I think at that time I was treating her more like a dum-dum. I didn't know kids very well. So it was like, maybe Dora the Explorer is a little too immature for an 8-year-old. But man,
where's my dad? Where's my dad? Where's my dad? Where's my dad? Where's my dad?
So
talk about some dark humor. Sorry about that.
EMS, and did you have to apply for it?
Yeah, actually, when I got there, I was at the city gas pump, and if Dodge is still on, he'll get a kick out of this. I was pumping gas in my car at the city gas pump, and that call went out, which is not in my district, but it's right behind the city gas pumps. And I was like, oh shit, I think that hotel's right behind me. So I got in my car, Googled the hotel, saw that the hotel was like within jogging distance from where I was sitting. I was like, no shit, I'm right there. So I threw the car and drive. I drove off. I ripped the gas nozzle out of the gas pumps. Had to pull over. It was a quick safety disconnect. Thank God. I went and connected it all back together, hung the gas thing back up, apologized to all the cameras, got in. I went to the scene. I processed that scene for about 3 hours, and then a stolen car went out not too far. So I left that scene to go chase a stolen car. I was in the chase. Car crashed into a house. Pregnant woman got out and ran, tackled her. She was pregnant, went to the hospital with her.
Wasn't very nice.
Did that whole 9 yards. And then about a week later, I got a call and said, hey, do you want to tell us what happened at the 110 or at the gas pumps? And I said, oh shit, you got the wrong guy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was like, you got the wrong guy, because I don't do calls over there. I don't even take fucking calls. Like, that's so far from my beat. Like, I get gas and then I bounce the fuck out. And they were like, so you don't want to tell us what happened at such and such address on such and such night? And I was like, dude, I'm telling you right now, like, I fucking go and get gas. And then, oh shit. Nope. One night I did. I ripped the fucking gas nozzle out of that bitch. And I was like, but I put it all back together. But I guess it did not get put back together. And so now at the city of Raleigh gas pumps, they don't have the little thing that allows the pump to keep pumping. You know, I'm talking about the little trigger that you.
Yeah. Little metal thing.
Yeah. They took all those off. That was Tansy policy number 3. People still to this day send me text messages of pictures that say, fuck you, Tansy. It's just a picture of the gas nozzle and them holding on to it.
Thanks for calling in, dude. Appreciate the question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Y'all have a great night.
You too, brother.
You too. Somebody else asked, I don't know what Amber wants. She says she's gotten voicemail 32 times.
Amber, you got your fucking shirt already. I saw a picture.
What does she want? What more does she want from us?
Answer it.
Answer the freaking phone for Amber, for crying out loud.
Dude, we've got like Chicago's calling right now. Where are you from, Amber?
She got an Arizona area code.
Oh, it's Arizona?
Maybe.
I wouldn't even know the area code there.
480 is Phoenix area, I think.
She said hers was 928.
I don't know the Arizona.
Oh, here she is. Is she on? No, she's not answering.
Nope. Not there. Any other questions? If you guys, that was a great question. Like, how much blood have you seen? Blood's like, you ever spilled a little bit of like, in your living room, and you put your beverage down and you spill it, and it seems like not much. You look at the bottle, you look at the glass, and not much came out, but it like seems like it got everywhere, and you're like, oh my gosh. Well, blood's the same way. It doesn't take that much, and it can just spread everywhere pretty easily. It can look way worse than it is. There's not that much blood in the human body, really. What is it, like 5 pints or something like that? There's not a lot.
No, I don't know. I forgot.
Way less than you would think.
I did once read a report about a white girl being dead, and it wasn't a white girl, it was a black girl, but she had lost so much blood that I thought she was a white girl.
Interesting. Fascinating. Provocative.
I have a lot of questions where I fuck things up, I'm now realizing. Definitely got more fuck up stories.
Amber keeps saying it's still going to voicemail. Mint Mobile has determined that's a lie. Ryan Reynolds is going to be ashamed of your lies, Amber.
He said we sent you an email, Amber.
Somebody said 5 to 6 liters.
Yeah, Amber, maybe it's you at this
I'm
point.
wrong.
Maybe it's you. You seem so needy. Like everybody else gets their shirts, everybody else gets their phone calls. At some point, you got to look inside and say, maybe it's me.
How many pints
I'm doing wrong
of blood do you have? It's a Google.
Team Amber. Alley Cat says
10
she's Team
pints.
Amber.
8% of your
Amber.
body weight comes from blood. 10 pints. I was half
Captain
off.
Cactus. He's got a captain by his name, so you know he's right.
Sure. How many times have you locked yourself out of your unit? A handful. A handful where I needed to call somebody else to like, hey, can you make my stop? You don't say it on the air, of course, but when
we always say it on the air. If somebody's like, hey man, can you check in with me real quick, and you get there, you're like, hey Raleigh, hold me out.
I'll be clear of
motorist.
letting in the officer into his car. Yeah, I mean, of course. All right. It just rang once and went to voicemail. Amber is so full of shit. Like she's just trying to draw attention to herself now at this point.
It just rang once and went to voicemail.
Mint Mobile
Quit trying to
is
call
more reliable than that.
1-800-SEX-SEXY and start calling the number that's on the screen.
Any other questions? We've gone an hour and
hello?
35.
That doesn't sound like an Amber.
No, definitely not Amber.
Are you sure?
Boy,
I'm pretty freaking positive.
He's
What's
like,
your
of all the
question?
fucking people that could be in this world, Amber's not one of them.
Holy cow, this is pretty cool. I've been watching you guys forever, so.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate
Chris.
that.
How many Chris's do we have in the audience? Holy shit, you're like the fourth one tonight.
It's a Chris Army.
Yeah. I was a former Army. I worked for a small city down here in Florida, and I figured I'd call in tonight and tell you it's not really a homicide, but it's one that we had not too long ago. And
Let's hear it.
So we get dispatched. It was Sunday, and it was literally like as soon as I come in on shift for a suicide attempt.
Nice.
And as soon as we get there, I hear pow, and run inside. There's like 3 little girls. They're screaming, and turns out the aunt had shot herself right in front of them.
Oh,
and yeah, it definitely sucks. But the true story is that all these old guys who say 22s bounce around, that is very true.
Okay.
Because there was only one entrance. There was an entrance with no exit wound. She shot herself in the head, and she was leaking.
Oh,
everywhere?
Yeah. Oh yeah, everywhere.
Whoa.
I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan quite a few times, and
Thank you for my service.
Appreciate you. But son of a bitch. But I've seen quite a few dead people and people get blown up and stuff, and I've never seen that much blood. And it was from a single 22.
Jeez,
That's
man.
what I said earlier. Like you see these large caliber, and people are like got shot a couple times, multiple times. I think one guy I was having a conversation with had been shot 6 or 7 times, and he's just sitting there like, well, shit, this sucks. And then other times, like that small little caliber gets in and zips around and just like tears you up inside.
I would have to agree. I started my career out in the jail, and I've sat on quite a few inmates, and they've been the sheriff's office I used to work for carried 45s, and we had an incident. A guy took off and shot at one of the deputies, and he got lit up, I think, like 8 times with a 45. Fucking survived.
Yeah.
And
Listen,
then other times
Chris,
you get hit once, and then boom, that's it.
Sure.
Chris, before you go, I want to ask you to do something. There are people on a police department that get on the radio. They sound like me, which is a train wreck on the radio. Only because, not because I'm hyper, but because I really don't know. Like, I don't know what fucking street I'm on. I think that's a general north that I'm on. Let me hear, you have a beautiful radio voice.
Oh God.
Let me hear you. Let me hear your response right now to getting on scene to a homicide, as if you were to key up your mic right now and tell us that you're on scene and there is in fact a homicide there.
Shit. That's probably what I would sound like. Because when I got on scene to that call, I just told dispatch, I'm like, hey, have EMS 51 only because she's leaking.
Okay. That's a good radio voice.
We got ourselves a leaker, boys.
Now listen, kids drive me crazy all the time, and I often think about putting one in my brain when I'm surrounded by my children, but I've never done it. How bad were these kids?
Well, that was the thing. So what it was the oldest.
Where's my aunt? Where's my aunt? Where's my aunt?
Yeah. The oldest was 23 years old.
Oh.
And she was fucking devastated.
Oh, it's probably her fault.
They had gotten into a fight, and that's what it led up to it. And the 13-year-old was like, she just shrugged it off. Like, nothing
Like it's
happened.
about time. It is about fucking time.
No signs of mental illness. They didn't know she had a gun. She just walked into the bedroom, grabbed a gun, and said, "I'm leaving," and popped herself. So,
jeez. Well, at least it wasn't just like little impressionable kids in that case, at least in that one. Not that little kids haven't been impacted by this kind of stuff, but yeah. All right, Amber says, thanks for calling in, dude. Appreciate you, and stay safe out there.
All right, guys.
Somebody said that
Chris.
Amber was trying to call in on a Nokia phone. I'm assuming she's playing Snake on her Nokia phone instead of calling us. She's about ready to set a record on her Snake game, and so she can't be bothered to actually call in. So I don't know, Amber. It seems to be working for other people. I don't know. It's a miracle, I guess. I don't know how this is happening.
Damn it. Let's go, Amber. Hashtag let's go, Amber. I feel like we should have an Amber t-shirt.
But anyway, yeah, we could.
Dax
this
himself.
is. We should make a T-shirt that says "This is not Amber's shirt." I don't know.
Amber has a jitterbug phone.
Jitterbug. All right. Well, Amber, we got to coordinate a time when you like actually call in or whatever. I
want to
know.
hear her voice though, like because we've chatted online so much at this point. I feel like Amber's probably got like a smoker's voice, so she's gonna answer. She's like, "Hello, boys.
This is Amber.
This is Amber. Thanks for my shirt."
And then you hear her yelling at her kid in the background. Go to the corner store, get me some Newports.
Lisa, damn it! I told you to get me fucking menthols.
Anyway, all right, let's go, Amber. I don't know. She's not calling in. Mike the Cop, have you been to a death scene you thought was an accident, but it's actually found to be a homicide? Yeah, that was like the first story that I told. It was actually supposed to be like a drunk in the street, basically, and it turned out to be a homicide. And so there's that. And there's actually been some things that were ruled suicides by our detectives that I was like, I don't know. How are there two holes on the same side of the head?
Kind of like that Kurt Cobain, like the Kurt Cobain case.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Suicide.
So, all right, guys, we had a ton of stories tonight. Hey, you know what?
Are we getting a call from Lazaro?
What?
Lazaro Lopez was about to call in. Lazaro, are you calling in real quick?
I don't know.
If you are, you call in right this second or you're going to miss the show.
Yeah. Dead air is bad air. I hate it. But if you have more questions about death, dismemberment, homicide, scene tracking, all how scenes are processed, send a DM. We're happy to answer your questions. And Cheryl McKee asks, "Are you always on Tuesday nights for the foreseeable future?" For a while, we're given this night shift format. What's happening?
Yeah, he was calling Lazaro.
A night shift format is so our Friday show, guys, is more news driven, where we're covering topics in the news or breaking down cases from the present or past and taking more of a deep dive on those things from our perspective. Tuesday nights is really story driven, topic driven. We want the call-ins and questions. We're trying to just kind of be really laid back and just start with a topic and see where it goes, man. It's night shift. We're just kind of hanging out and having fun with it. So hopefully you guys like it. If you do, keep listening. Tell other people about the show. Subscribe to wherever you can subscribe or follow, and just interact as much as you possibly can. If you want to support us, always support our sponsors on the main show. And you can go to failuretostop.com, get your merch, all that good stuff. You can get the shirts we're wearing right now. Let's go, Brandon. All that stuff. So
I hear somebody breathing in my ear. Who is that? Who is that breathing in my ear?
Look out. Who is this?
Oh, shit. That sounds like Lazaro Lopez.
Oh, you're dead on right there, brother. What's going on?
Hello. If you guys haven't followed Lazaro Lopez on Drinking Bros, you're missing out. This guy is an absolute train wreck.
He's an icon.
That's the truth. I swear to God.
Oh, what's up, brother? You got a homicide story?
I got the best homicide story on the planet. Now, for the safety of all involved, I must declare that I can't say anyone's names, locations, or anything like that, or dates.
Or go anywhere near an elementary school.
Shoot, I got denied my release in the house because I moved it into one that's 3 miles away. And hey, things happen like that, man.
Oh, what you got, brother?
All right, so this is back when we were just youngins. That'll be my friend
we're going to his house to feed all of his dogs because his parents are out of town. So we show up the day after the parents leave, and we go to the front door and notice it's busted open, like a crowbar or a hoolie tool or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walk in, and there's some funk inside this house. So I went full 700 and grabbed a crossbow that's hanging on the wall.
Okay.
And it's like a children's crossbow. It's not like a big crossbow. But I was like, hey.
I didn't know they made kids crossbows.
Well, this thing is pretty legit, man. It had like a 2-pound pressure pole thing, whatever the hell it's called. But anyways, I'm over here doing, what's that dude's name? Jason Wick. And I walk into the living room.
Jason Wick and his crossbow, his child's crossbow.
All right.
So, yeah, I walk into this house, and there's just blood, like, just on the floor, which is pretty cool. I was like, hey, that doesn't seem right, And me and my friend, we're walking around, and we take a right past the kitchen where there's a doggy bowl, and there's a decapitated head of a dog in the bowl facing the dead dog's body.
Stop.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So someone broke into my buddy's house, killed his fucking dog, but set it up to where the head was facing the dog's body. Like he's all happy looking, his tongue was out. He was having a good time before he died, I'll tell you that.
Is that it? It's just a dead dog?
How can you tell us that, Lasro Lopez?
What?
How can you tell us that the dog was having a good time before he died?
Well, his tongue was out. He's probably eating or doing something. Who knows?
What the fuck? He seemed happy. His face seemed happy.
Did you say there was more than one dead dog?
Oh, I thought you were going to say his red rocket was showing or something.
Oh, that would have been fucking sweet. But no, man. So we don't know if there's a killer on the loose or what the fuck. But it doesn't matter once you saw the dog. We're like, well,
did anybody ever find out what happened?
Yeah, kind of. We'll get to that. But so we go outside of the back, and there's like a doggy apartment building back there. There's 6 dogs in a big ass house, basically. And this dude poisoned all those fucking dogs, and they all died.
Whoa. Was it Fauci? Was it Anthony Fauci? Is he the killer?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. Yeah, so we go outside, just a bunch of fucking dead dogs. And then we go back inside the house where there's more kennels for dogs that they get groomed and broomed and shit.
Yeah.
And there's a dog in the kennel with its head just caved in. He got bashed with a fucking frying pan or something, man.
Ugh.
It was bananas.
So what the fuck happened?
I can't give too much away because these people probably know me still. And anyways,
they don't listen to this show. No dog killers listen
to our show. These people are responsible are not incarcerated?
No, hell no. They got away. Actually, he got away. We think we know who it is. It's a dude who was advancing on my buddy's mom, and she's like, no. So he got mad when they left. He was stalking the whole house because they went on vacation.
What part of the country is this?
For that day, south.
Of course.
What part of the country is this? South. Yeah.
We should have won the war.
I think on a really dark note about dead dogs because who doesn't like that,
Right. Everybody loves a good dead dog story.
Yeah, why not?
Well, shit, gosh. Dude. I mean, what? Do you treat your dogs different now? Do you hide them? Do you lock? Going forward, how do you cope with something like that?
Oh, they got dogs. The next day, there's more dogs in the house. They didn't give a shit. Maybe they did it themselves, man. Who knows?
Who knows? But, do you have a dog?
No, I don't got no dog. I don't know what a dog for.
You can't even take care of yourself. You can't take care of another animal.
Yeah, I live in the basement of someone's house. I don't even know whose it is. Yeah, I got kicked out because there's a school 3 miles away, man. I'm homeless.
You didn't get vaccinated, so you had to move out.
Oh, hell no, man. That's them UFOs trying to.
They're making all the sex offenders. The vax is mandated for them.
Oh, dude, it's never.
I am in hiding.
I'm never disappointed when I get to talk to Lazaro Lopez. Thanks for calling in, homie. Go give Lazaro Lopez a good follow.
Last row. It
haven't.
sounds like you're saying Lazaro.
Last row.
Last
Lopez.
row.
It's because he sits
Lopez.
in the last row at the major, whatever major college football game of the weekend is. You can find him in the last row, and if you do, he has to buy you a beer. But he's got a mullet and shades and
Speedos,
women all around him. It's a train wreck. So follow it on Drinking Bros.
It's a damn good time. Hey, Boston Joe, you look like a Q-tip. I just want to say that. Fuck you.
What a way to end it.
What a great way to end the night shift, baby.
Jeez, you never know, Mike. You never know with these night shifters.
Night shift gets random, man. We started out with homicide, and we've ended up with canacide. I don't know what happened here.
You know, people that work night shift are always different, Mike. They're a hard.
Night shift is a different breed. It's a different breed, and you just don't know what you're gonna get, man. So, well, thanks. I had a blast tonight. Thanks for listening, everyone, to the show. A lot of you are going to be listening to this on your drive or at work or whatever to keep you awake at night on your shift. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you guys like what we're doing, hey, just go to Apple Podcasts. Please leave a rate. There's 358 people live right now. If all 358 of you go right to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate, and write a review, it will skyrocket us in the ratings and expose the show a lot more. It'll expose the show like Boston Joe at an elementary school. So it'll really well. So go do it right now. And otherwise, guns up, giddy up. Thanks, guys. We love you. And we will talk to the Wolfpack on Friday live at 11 o'clock.
See you guys.